Okay, good afternoon. Welcome from the National University of Cuyo, the Office of Research, International Affairs and Postgraduate Studies. We are organizing this new talk, a very special one and a very special one because we are doing this in English and on a subject which is really the future, on something we need to learn about. This talk is done under a scheme we have been developing for more than a year. This is the 9th seminar of communication of science, and we are really happy to welcome to this new talk to Professor Rupesh Srivastava. I apologize for my pronunciation. He is a PhD in physics and has developed professionally within the Department of Physics at the Oxford University. Currently, he is the president of OneQuantum Argentina, an international organization devoted to foster and share communications and studies related to quantum technology. I'm really happy, Dr. Rupesh, to have you here and to profit from your incredible background and experience. I'm sure you will motivate us and teach us a lot about this subject, a subject Argentina and Mendoza needs to learn about and to take and try to push it to convert or to change our place of living into a better place, as you have already talked about in our previous meeting. So the floor is yours. You have your time and your PowerPoint to share. We are very willing to learn more with you. And at the end of your talk, we will have some minutes for the audience to share their comments or ask for some questions. The session is being recorded in our YouTube channel, so it will be available for all of you to see it again, because I'm sure your concepts are interesting enough and need a lot of time for reflection and understanding. So thank you, Dr. Rupesh.
So Jimena, thank you very much, and also to you, Raul, from SIPS for inviting me to this talk, and I'm delighted to be here. I'm just going to start sharing my screen, so give me a second. I'm just going to ask, can you see all that? Can you see the screen?
Perfect.
Great. Yeah. Great. So my talk today is about vision of a quantum future. And first of all, my apologies. My Spanish is poor, so this talk is in English. But I hope to convince you of the importance of this subject and for you to get passionate about it. So let me first of all wish you, today is November the 4th, 2021. So it also happens to be my wife's birthday, but also it's Diwali in India. So this is a festival of light. So I just wanted to wish everybody watching this video happy Diwali. And so see if we can light up Argentina as well. So a little bit about me. As Jimena said, I'm currently president of OneQuantum Argentina, and I'll talk a little bit about that. But I've spent the last 5 years, more than that, at the UK Quantum Computing Technology Hub, which is led by Oxford University. I've been based in Oxford Physics. And my role was to develop the quantum computing ecosystem for the UK. Prior to that, I've spent 20 years in high-tech startups and consulting. And I also work as a trusted advisor, coach, and a speaker. And as Jimena indicated, I have a PhD in physics. And the diagram on the right, just to sort of clarify where I kind of sit. I do lots of things. I sit at the intersection of people, business, and technology and innovation. So my interests are varied. So in today's talk, I'm going to be first introducing a bit about OneQuantum. Then I'm going to set the scene in quantum so you can understand where I'm coming from. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about what is quantum 2.0. discuss a vision for a quantum future, and then apply that vision to Argentina, and then how you can take part. Hopefully you will join us. So first of all, OneQuantum. So OneQuantum is an international organization that is dedicated to building authentic communities. It's global and it has diversity and inclusion built in. That's really important. It's a core value. Everyone is welcome. It doesn't matter your background. It doesn't matter your gender. Nothing matters. It's just your enthusiasm and your beautiful mind. We also provide mentoring services, careers, developments, and working on various different projects. So when you're talking about OneQuantum, you're really talking about the world. And for Argentina specifically, my vision is to bring Argentina into the quantum era. You're going to see what I mean more clearly later. Is to grow the quantum ecosystem here and for Argentina to participate in the world. And just on the 30th of October, in collaboration with OneQuantum India, we launched our first event on quantum computing for healthcare. And when I say we're global, we had participants from 5 continents attending. We also had attendees from companies that included Microsoft and IBM. So on our very first event, we got the world stage immediately. So now to setting the scene. So I want to talk a little bit about information and how the information has changed over the millennia. So just on the picture on the right, you have imprints on clay tablets going all the way to printed books to electronic media. And so this storage and retrieval of information, even just for something like the Amazon e-reader, it can hold hundreds of books in something that weighs just 200 grams. And for an international traveler like me, that's a great bonus. I can carry 500 books with me wherever I go. But now we have quantum information. And what I want you to understand from this slide is that quantum information is as different to, say, a laptop as a laptop is different to an abacus. Okay, so it's another big leap. And I couldn't help myself, but I'm going to have a little bit of physics here. So I want you to imagine there is a laser just passing through a very thin slit. And you just see on the right-hand side a bright blob of light. Just nothing very much to say about it. But something really interesting happens when you introduce a second slit. So now, which slit does it go through? And what do you expect to happen? Most people just expect to see 2 bright blobs. You had 1 bright blob, now you have 2 slits, you have 2 bright blobs. What actually happens is you find this interference pattern on the right, a series of light and dark bands. And that can be explained if light is like a wave, like a water wave, for example. And so if you drop a stone and you have the ripples of water and you drop another stone next to it, the waves combine. Some combine constructively or destructively. And so when it's constructive, you have something bright, and when you have destructive, you have something dark. The light is a wave. Now here it gets really strange. What if you could fire like a bullet, 1 photon at a time? So 1 particle of light. And you can see on the image, on the top left of the square, you can see these, just a bright spot hitting a screen. So you know it's a particle. You know it's hit a specific point. But the really strange thing is that if you keep firing them, you get your bright and dark bands again. So quantum physics says even a single photon, a single particle, so a particle is not a wave, but it seems to act like one. It can pass through both slits. That's strange, right? So the quantum world, the behavior of the quantum world is very different to how we expect the universe to behave. That's just an example. So what's the motivation for quantum? Well, it's to actually understand the universe. So the universe is fundamentally quantum mechanical in nature. So can you create a device, a new kind of computer to try and simulate it? And that was proposed about 40 years ago by the physicist and Nobel laureate Richard Feynman. It's taken this long to get there. Okay. So if you look at this diagram, which is science at the top and development of computers at the bottom. So if I first talk about the science, you have men with wigs and men with beards, and you have an astonishing theory that has created the modern world. So everything from your mobile phone, from the cars you drive, everything in your life is being created by what we call classical physics. Then at the turn of the 20th century, there was a big crisis in physics because physics couldn't explain everything. But a new theory that was proposed, quantum theory, did. And it seemed so absurd to some people, you know, it divided scientists. And we're now approaching the 21st century. So there's this kind of weird cartoon at the top right, which shows a cat, which is both alive and dead. So Schrödinger's cat, for those of you who know it. It's harnessing these strange properties of quantum physics to build astonishing new devices, new capabilities that have never seen before in the history of humanity. And similarly, at the bottom, you can see the development of computers or calculating devices, from mechanical devices to analog devices and semiconductors and digital computers. The D wave there is something new. It's a quantum annealing quantum computer. And then something called NISQ, which stands for noisy intermediate scale quantum devices. And that's what we're moving to. And I'll talk a bit about that in a second. So this is the quantum 2.0 revolution. So as I said, it's to harness specific phenomena to create brand new, astonishing devices and technologies. And those utilize superposition, entanglement, and interference. These are sort of the words you need to get familiar with. And you'll see here that you'll see the word qubit as well, or quantum bit. I'll explain a bit what that means. But superposition simply means that a quantum bit or a quantum state can be in more than one state at the same time. Entanglement means that you can have links between quantum states or quantum particles, and you can't treat them as individuals. So even if you separate them by long distances, they're still linked together. And interference is trying to amplify the right answers and minimize the wrong ones. So what are these astonishing capabilities? Well, you can build a device that can see underground without digging. So you don't dig through your broadband cables or your gas pipes or water pipes. It's creating communications that can't be hacked. How about finding your way around without GPS? Computing what is currently out of reach. And creating sensors and other devices such as atomic clocks, which are going to be increasingly important in lots of different industries. So just on the right-hand side, just focus on the diagram where you see a bit and a qubit. So a bit, a digital bit that you have on your computer or mobile phone is just made up of switches of something that is on and off, 0 or 1. It's a very simple state, a binary state. But a qubit is far more dense. It can be 0 or 1 or any linear combination in between. So if you asked your laptop or your digital computer to pretend to be a quantum computer, how many bits do you need? And so this table tries to show that. So for example, if you have 20, you want to model 20 qubits, then you can do it on your laptop. You need about 1 million bits. This is a strange thing. If you go to 50, you now need a supercomputer because this scales exponentially. And if you wanted to do 300, and 300 is not a big number, well, you need a computer you need classical bits that are more than a number that is greater than the number of atoms in the known universe. So let's bring it home. Let's look at it in a different way. Let's look at everyday chemicals that we're used to in our lives. So everything from water to penicillin. And you can see for penicillin, for example, we're up to or very close to the figure of greater than the number of atoms in the whole universe. So this is a problem because you can't model penicillin. You can't understand all of its interactions. But you could on a quantum computer. We're not there yet. Nobody can do it on a quantum computer today. But powerful quantum computers are coming. So what this shows is we don't really understand even the simplest things that we use every day. And so you might be thinking, okay, well, that's fine, but I'm not a chemist. Well, you don't need to be because quantum technologies will impact every single area of life that you can think of. And I've got some areas here illustrating, all beginning with the letter M, just for fun. But it's to show you that whatever you can think of, quantum technologies will have an impact. It will change our civilization if the vision is realized. For the scientists among you, there are applications across physics, math, computing, chemistry, biology, in all of these different areas. And people are actively doing research and using quantum machines, quantum devices, to try out their theories, creating algorithms, trying to create applications, trying to develop the science further. Just a quick note on quantum biology. So you may not know, but in 2007, it was shown that photosynthesis is a quantum process. And just in September 2021, a quantum biology center, UCLA, has been launched to try and build a community. So there's lots of activities going on around the world, even in areas you wouldn't think about. So for industry, there's lots of focus areas on optimization, engineering problems, machine learning type problems, and cryptography. So if we focus on quantum computing, there's lots of ways of building them. There's lots of different technologies from superconducting circuits, which are like artificial atoms. They're electrical circuits, cooled to near absolute zero. Ion traps using atoms, ionized atoms, using photons again, using solid state, which could be silicon or NV centers or defects in color centers in diamond, cold atoms, and Microsoft are pursuing nanowires. And within the eggs that you see in front of you are the names of companies that are pursuing each of these things. So there isn't a clear winner. There isn't a standard way of making quantum computers. And the names in black are UK companies which have been spun out of the UK program. So this is an example of innovation from research jumping the gap towards commercialization. So there's a variety of ways of building them and a variety of ways of programming them. And so that's what's shown in the diagram here. And also there's, I put a reference to an open source as well, so you can find open source tools. And there's a whole variety of them. There's a lot of activity in this area and it's continually changing. So despite all of this excitement, despite all of this potential to change the world, creating quantum states or creating qubits is very hard. They're hard to make, they're hard to control, they're very sensitive. And we need lots of them. Currently, at the time of talking, we have 65 qubits from IBM. By the end of the year, we'll expect to see 100 plus. So there's a long road ahead. And the pictures here on the right, so one is a model of a 50 qubit system from IBM at the top, and different types of chips. And on the right-hand side are ion traps, so using ionized atoms as quantum bits. So these computers don't look like anything that you're used to. They look very strange. They're quite big. They're very complex. And it feels a bit like going back into the 1950s. But I want to talk about something that happened in 2019. Something we were all looking for, hoping for that would happen, and it did, and sooner than people thought. So Google have a 54 quantum bit or qubit chip called Sycamore, and they did a computation, essentially random numbers, in 200 seconds. That computation, they said, would have taken 10,000 years on the Summit supercomputer, which in 2019 was the world's most powerful supercomputer. And I've included a Nature paper reference, so you can go and read all about it. The actual experiment used 53 qubits because one cable was broken in the apparatus. So what is the industry doing? There's a huge focus now on quantum engineering, on on growing the number of qubits, on reducing the errors, on verifying each of the processes to ensure you have the right results. And then something called logical qubits. So it's using physical qubits, which are noisy, i.e. error prone, and employing error correction. So you have a very robust qubit, a logical qubit. So when we talk about quantum computers, we really are looking far ahead into the age of universal fault-tolerant machines, which are composed of logical qubits. And people are starting to build logical qubits from physical qubits. But again, it's a very complex issue. At the same time, software tools, new algorithms, and how to scale those algorithms are also being pursued. And a big focus there is also encryption, because quantum computers will be very good at breaking current encryption schemes. And so new fields are emerging called post-quantum cryptography to try and protect against that today. Because it takes about 10 years to introduce a brand new crypto scheme into the world. But it's not just about computing. There are analog quantum simulators, quantum memory, sensors, and timing applications that are equally important too. And on the right-hand side, a quantum computing firm called Rigetti in the States have developed a modular approach to scaling quantum chips, and this is a photograph of an 80-qubit chip that they're hoping to deploy. So what's the vision then? So I want you to look at this child. He's sitting at a desk and he's been told to write about the future. What is he going to write? What could the future look like in the quantum era? So what I imagine for this child is that no one is hungry. We live in a world that is peaceful and sustainable. Energy is free. There isn't any pollution. Major diseases are a thing of the past. And humanity has expanded beyond the earth. So this is a big, bold vision. And could quantum technologies play their part? How do we get from here to there? I want to focus now on looking at the global R&D in quantum technologies. So these are countries heavily involved in quantum, either having a quantum strategy or significant government investment. And then I hope you can see why this picture upsets me. So I come from one of the red countries, which I'll talk about in a second. So where's Argentina? Where's Latin America? That's why I'm trying to do something about it. I'm trying to change this map. So using the UK as an example, because I know the UK best, the number on the right-hand side, number 4, that's UK in 2021 is number 4 in the Global Innovation Index. It has a £1 billion plus national quantum technologies program. There are 4 quantum technology hubs. You can see the number of universities in each hub on the right-hand side. It has 3 quantum skills hubs, a center to develop quantum entrepreneurs, a national quantum computing center, which I had recommended many years ago, and also £153 million industry-led innovation fund. So in the UK, it's in the second phase of the program, but in phase 1 of the program, we created 7 spin-out quantum companies. We did 45 research projects with industry. Now, it's really hard to do, but we did it. And in the diagram on the right, you can see the program of work going all the way from quantum hardware through to applications. We call this the quantum stack. And this is across early devices, so NISQ devices, building a pathway to universal fault-tolerant computers and quantum simulators. And if you want to look at quantum technologies as a whole, I've taken a snapshot for 229 companies around the world. And you can see from the chart who the big players are. It's not a surprise for me. It's the US, UK, Canada. There are unicorn companies emerging via deals and mergers. And we expect, I expect to see significant market consolidation in the next year or 2 years of these companies. So if you've got a very good eye, you'll see on the bottom scale that Uruguay appears. There is a company called Quantum South who are working with Airbus on various optimization problems for the aerospace industry. It'd be wonderful for Argentina to be on this chart. So let's focus on Argentina specifically now. So it's a little bit depressing, but the good news is the only way is up. So Argentina is number 73 on the Global Innovation Index. So there are a whole host of different challenges compared to countries like Switzerland, which is number 1, and the UK, which is number 4. So when I've been thinking about this a lot, I've divided the work up as to what I think we need across innovation, developing quantum literacy, developing the ecosystem, having policies, including economic policies and funding for quantum prosperity. And prosperity also means growing people. It's not just about money. Getting people and companies quantum ready, so industry is really important. And introducing this idea of a quantum citizen. So to those of you who have children, who have nieces and nephews, grandchildren, they are growing up in the quantum era. Do they know it? How can we support them such that their children grow up as quantum natives, used to all kinds of quantum products and services we can't even imagine? But in order to do this, you need a positive mindset. You need to be collaborative, open to collaborations. You need to develop lots of different skills. And of course, there's got to be funding to help grease the wheels, as we say. So in order to build for prosperity, it's talks like this, really, that raises quantum awareness. And as awareness grows, you can then start to build quantum readiness. So quantum readiness is I divide it into 3 areas: entry, descent, and landing. So entry is, well, what is quantum? What is it going to do for me? What is it going to do for my business, and when? What kind of people will I need? Descent is saying, okay, I know what it is now. I've got some use cases. Where do I start? How do I apply quantum to it? And then descent, you're building applications on hardware. And by that point, you are doing economic activity. But across all of these stages, you need a comprehensive, cohesive skills strategy. Because without that, this doesn't happen. When I talk about the quantum ecosystem, it's not just universities, it's not just researchers, it's not just teachers, secondary schools, it's everybody. And these audiences are all different. They all have their different languages, their different expectations, their different agendas, their different challenges and struggles. But we all have to come together. Otherwise, Quantum Argentina does not exist. And then you can't move boldly into the future, because we need to move together. We need to start in certain places, but we come together. But you also need other things too, such as access to people and technology. You need to be diverse and inclusive, otherwise you don't get innovation. You also need to think about the impact of whatever you're doing on wider society. And we call that responsible innovation. So you have to think about the ethics. Is this a good thing that's going to happen? Is it a bad thing that's going to happen? Are you engaged with the public? Are you discussing? Are you growing together? But there's lots of things that need to happen. On quantum literacy, it's so STEM education and research are incredibly important. But it's also about taking software engineers from classical, from digital programmers to quantum programmers. How do you do that? And also important for Argentina, given the global nature of quantum, is the development of English language. And I want to focus on the last one, and it might sound a bit odd. So here's an example. it's using the English language and various aspects of research and creating events and innovation. So the first one is a market report I produced. You're communicating primarily to government and investors worldwide. When you engage with industry, this is a brochure produced after the industry event on how to create an economy. So you're inviting these audiences, but you have photographers there. You take notes of the key thing, and then you work with designers to produce a very attractive brochure that records what's going on. And then something else, which is more of a brochure for advertising the UK on a global stage, where you see the leaping whale and are you ready? It's a different call to action. So what we've done, and I'm delighted with this, and we have some of the people involved on the call, and I'll introduce them in a minute. Is something we call Team ETIQUETTE, which is English teachers innovating for quantum training and teaching excellence. And it's across all of these different areas that you can see. It's incredibly important when you're on the global stage to be able to be confident on the global stage, to be able to speak, to be able to write, to be able to engage, exchange ideas, so on. And so the emphasis is really to use quantum as a focus to boost English language training across universities and secondary schools, creating projects and resources, bringing people together, providing training, increasing collaboration, and then articulating the programs to a wider audience, whether they're regional, national, or international. And I'm delighted to introduce the team. So we have Celeste Luna, Carolina Rios, Leticia Nunez, and myself. And I want to thank them for stepping up, for volunteering, for agreeing to be part of this this adventure, this journey to try and bring Argentina forwards. And so, taking part, I want you, everyone who's listening to this, to be part of this. And again, it's across all these different areas, from innovation, literacy, ecosystem development, readiness. So all of these skills. So this, if you're looking for a sign, this is the sign you're looking for. So if you're researchers, if you're teachers, if you're students, if you're from industry, if you're from government, if you're enablers like innovation centers, innovation parks, investors, enthusiasts who just say, this is cool, what do we do with it? How do we learn about it? Then we want you. And we want you to step forward, and we create a national network. So change is happening, whether anyone likes it or not. The world is moving. The quantum era has started. In 10 years' time, it's too late. There'll be too much catching up to do. So whilst these extraordinary devices and machines are being produced, it's a great opportunity to start building IP, start innovating, start doing things when it's early, building up knowledge, capability, talent, and then operating on the world stage as an equal player. That's my dream for Argentina. Thank you very much for listening. Just stop sharing.
Thank you very much, Rupesh. You will be hearing our applause if we were seeing really each other. More people have joined, so we are very happy to be sharing all your knowledge and experience with all of them. I will give Raul the word so that he can ask for some questions, and it's open for all of you that are here Now I feel embarrassed that a lot of English teachers are here, so I apologize for my pronunciation. Now that I know they are English teachers, it's not the same to be trying to speak in English. So Raúl.
Well, all the people present can open the microphone. Little Star can like to. Dice colleague. Preguntar en español, Estrellita, ¿eh?
Sí, sí, gracias, Raúl. Jimena, ¿vos podrías traducir?
Yo, cualquiera de los profes, las profes de inglés que hay en el público, claro.
He tratado de entender lo máximo posible de la conferencia. La parte de física me es muy difícil. La parte de... Soy profesora de matemática, pero me gustaría que el doctor Rupesh se explicara cómo él ve la aceptación de este nuevo mundo surgido de esta nueva tecnología y qué cambios podría sugerirnos para la universidad a fin de que podamos implementar más rápidamente este nuevo mundo y implementar esta tecnología. Y por otro lado, y adaptarnos a este cambio como sociedad, porque es todo un cambio completo que envuelve a todo el ser humano. Y por otro lado, pensaba también que sería importante que la universidad convidara al doctor Rupesh a participar en las nuevas elaboraciones de las currículas, porque él habló de inglés. Bien, prometo aprender inglés. Pero las otras ciencias también deben ser cambiadas mucho. Matemática, por ejemplo. ¿Qué cambio se sugiere en las currículas universitarias y secundarias? Y el aporte que él puede hacer es fundamental. Entonces la universidad puede pedirle al doctor Rupesh que colabore en esa elaboración de currículas.
Bueno, no solamente tengo que traducir, sino acordarme todo. Es difícil, no, lo he ido anotando. Okay, Rupesh, Estrellita is contributing with some comments and questions. First, she apologized for not speaking in English. She's a math teacher. She has done her best effort to understand, and she has two main comments. The first one deals with the acceptance of these concepts. So she asked if you consider there is acceptance of these concepts in the world, and which are the challenges or the things you consider the university will need to do, to implement, to change what we are doing in order to consider the scope and things you have commented. And the other comment Estrellita is doing is regards the university and the definition of careers and diplomas. So she suggests we should consider people like you in the definition of these programs, both at the pre-graduate level and the postgraduate level, so that we can create these programs more adapted to the new ideas and concepts you are mentioning. So it's an invitation for us from the university to be more related with you, also in the aspect of the academia, in the sense of the definition of programs. I don't know if I've been clear enough. Maybe some teacher, some of the professors can help me. But the acceptance question was the main one. How do you think, or how do you see, is the world accepting these new concepts? You are muted.
Typical. Okay, so with the first question, you saw from the map, so Esther, you saw from the map the different colored parts of the world. And I explained that in the UK alone, there was £1 billion investment. So there is a leap of thought that you also have to make, which is, what are universities for? What are the curriculums for? What are they supposed to do? They can be top standards, higher standards, but what are people supposed to do with them? Is it to get a job? Is it to go into research? Is it to better your life? Is it to change the world? Is it to develop your character? Is it to come up with brand new ideas that the world has never seen before? If you have such a mindset, then you have a sense of movement. Okay, so that you're doing research and you're developing, for example, you're developing your research career, you're producing papers, you're having students come into the groups, you're rising in seniority. That's all great, but what happens to that research? How does it impact wider society in any shape or form? And so the leap the UK made back in 2014 was to say, it must impact wider society. And if we can then focus on what those impacts could be, then you have this movement, this acceleration of ideas coming from the brightest people being translated into innovation that can enter the marketplace, for example. But if you don't have that mindset, it will never happen. So there's a cultural aspect to all of this. What you're seeing in the rest of the world, especially in the US, China, India, UK, parts of Europe, is this understanding that innovation is the key. It has to be at the center. Especially with quantum, the difference with quantum is the innovations, the potential can change the world in ways we cannot imagine yet. Just like that child writing about the future. Well, what happens if you make that future happen? The world changes. And so right now, whether anyone likes it or not, whether you accept it or not, there is this technologies being developed, these quantum technologies. People have changed. The world has come together to innovate, to invest, to create, to collaborate. And right now, from my perspective and from my experience, Latin America is asleep. And I'm saying, wake up, wake up, wake up. Because if you don't, it's the people are going to suffer. That's why I want to change. And as regards the curriculum, yes, when you're talking about the skills agenda, you start on quantum literacy generally, you have to have a program of courses, of experiments, of research that makes sense, but is joined up. I mean, you have to start somewhere, you know, so you have to take a risk, you have to be bold. And then hopefully that spreads around the region, it spreads around the nation. And it becomes normal. And what I'm hoping for is, I'm already talking about this with my network in the UK, of having some kind of joint collaborations where you have student exchanges. So students from Argentina, from Mendoza, from the university here, for example, can go to the UK, can visit Oxford, can visit the science campus at Harwell. They have these extraordinary scientific devices there, such as diamond synchrotron, things you don't have over here, and see what and with the secondary schools have a friendship going. So people practice English, they visit them, and then they go to university and visit the UK again, doing their research and their science projects. And so we have this kind of virtuous circle of innovation going on. And I think that's really exciting. And I'd like to see it happen. That's what I'm trying to get to, but there are many things I'm trying to get to do. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, I think it does. It sets a lot of challenges and answers the questions. We have some questions from the audience. Raúl, do you want to?
We have a variety of questions. Fernando asked if the microprocessors crisis affect the development of quantum technology. What do you think about it?
Well, okay, the crisis of microprocessors. Now, does that mean, the question is a little bit ambiguous for me. Does that mean the current semiconductor crisis that's affecting the world?
Yeah.
Or does it mean Moore's law type crisis, which is why quantum computers exist as well? So
Well,
with
we
Moore's
don't
law,
know.
you're
Maybe
doubling the
Fernando
number of
can.
transistors.
Fernando
Yeah,
can
perhaps,
tell
yeah.
us. You can open your microphone.
Sí, lo que quería consultar es eso mismo, de la crisis de los semiconductores, que está, digamos, afectando a todo el mundo. Quería saber si la tecnología cuántica o la revolución cuántica iba a solucionar esos problemas o iba a ser una, digamos, otra barrera para el desarrollo de esta tecnología. Esa era la pregunta.
Okay. He refers to the semiconductors, the current crisis of semiconductors, and how quantum technology could impact, benefit, or improve this situation.
Right. So this falls under quantum engineering. And so what you want to do is to take small scale system of quantum bits or qubits, and then you want to scale those, you want to grow those. And some approaches are using what we call fabs or fabrication methods, which are very similar to this, to how semiconductors are being produced in order to create these new sort of chips. It is having some impact because there's a worldwide shortage of semiconductors. There's a big queue. Those with the deepest pockets can afford to get to the first place in the queue. So what that translates into is that there will be delays in production. So the quantum computers that we were hoping that could come by the end of the year, it might be early next year, first or second quarter next year, for example. So it impacts everyone. When you're building quantum computers, you also need semiconductors in control electronics. So this is a big problem for everyone right now. It just slows everything down. You can argue that's good for Argentina because it gives time to catch up as well. It gives a few extra months to get going.
Okay, we have another question in the chat. Maximiliano asked if the current project in Argentina that are being carried out for the integration and adaptation to the quantum revolution.
Yeah, OneQuantum Argentina.
You're the first.
And yeah, and this, so me. And this relationship actually with Universidad Nacional de Cuyo as well. So I'm grateful. It's these sorts of interactions, this sort of openness that is creating these things. Yes, there are projects involving quantum in different parts of Argentina, but it's nothing on the scale or cohesiveness or coordination that I'm trying to achieve.
Okay. Well, Estrellita already asked some of the questions I had, but I wanted to ask how the concept of quantum theory can be extended to the other disciplines that we have at the university, such as political and social science, legal, for example.
Okay. So there's two different kinds of ways. The first way is if you just think about quantum, and then when I was talking about responsible innovation, which is thinking about the adoption of these technologies and the impact on society, what are the ethical implications? You know, for example, if I said to you, Raul, hey, I've got a technology, a quantum technology here that will break the internet security. That means your online banking, your WhatsApp messages, your financial transactions are all broken. You know, that's not a good thing. That's
But
going
the
to
private conversation, for example, the private communication between people, between families.
Yeah, but anything vital like your health data, any data that is important is now can be accessed by a malicious party because of this technology I've developed. This is a bad thing. There needs to be some kind of mitigation of that, okay? So, but if I introduced it now, it's people will be panicked. It's exactly so. Human behavior is very similar across the world. So, for example, in the UK, there was you must have read about the shortage of toilet paper, toilet roll, when the lockdown was there because people panicked. So when there's people panicking and their financial transactions are going to be intercepted, what are they going to do? They're going to take the money out of the bank. The economy is going to do this instead of being stable and growing. So, so you need to engage, you know, so with humanities, with social sciences, with experts in this area, to discuss the pros and cons of everything. And once you do that, the technology is much more likely to be accepted by people. And that's what we found in the UK. But if you don't talk to people about it, they're more suspicious, they're more frightened. And as you know, Raul, nature abhors a vacuum, so people will come up with their own theories. So that's sort of in the quantum space. So you need the regulators, you need the lawyers, you need the policy makers, you need the economists, you need all of these thinkers to look at how this will integrate and change society. Okay, because some laws might need changing and so on. That takes time. The other thing is that this can be a brilliant template for innovation in unrelated areas, which includes AI and other things, synthetic biology, whatever, you know, life sciences, whatever you can think of. So you can use it as a template for how do we improve innovation in other areas, such that Argentina becomes known in the world as a leading center for innovation, a leading adopter of new technologies. So what I'm trying to show you with this is the thinking behind it is goes beyond just quantum. It's how the nation is perceived, how the nation thinks of itself, what the nation can do to become a major player in the world. And I know from people here in Mendoza who have welcomed me into their hearts, and I feel a great connection, with them. I want to see this country succeed. I want to see this country grow and prosper. I want to see people's lives transformed, because the people here are fantastic. The workforce, the talent are brilliant. And here I am with the expertise that I have, saying, I believe you can do it. It is hard, but you can do it. Together we can. And here I am doing it. I'm not, I haven't gone to the States. I haven't gone anywhere else. I've come to Argentina. And I care about Argentina. So you have this British Indian guys, I keep saying British Indian, with a poor grasp of Spanish, but hopefully my heart is in the right place. And I have the skills right now which I'm offering to Argentina in service. And I've got this wonderful team of English teachers behind me who are going to transform and innovate. There was a bit of fun, Raul, with the ETIQUETTE name. It just it tickled us.
Thank you.
So these professors will make us speak English in like 2 weeks, or any language we want to learn. That will be amazing. Okay.
Okay. I have no more question from the audience. Mena?
Okay, just to thank you, Rupesh, for all your knowledge, for your enthusiasm, for the challenges you have offered, and for your availability to be here with us on your wife's birthday at this time, sharing this. And I'm sure this OneQuantum Argentina will succeed. I hope, and we will work for the University of Cuyo to be part of this. Absolutely, I think we have the teachers, the researchers, and mainly we have the students who are the future of the world. That's obvious, but the future of quantum. So I think it's a strong alliance we can build, and I'm very glad to have done this first step with you. As I told at the beginning, this is being recorded. It will be uploaded to our YouTube channel, so that a lot of people can enjoy it and learn from you. I want to thank you, and also all the audience, Raul and my team, who have supported this event. And that's it. People are saying great, and they're very happy to be with you. So I hope to see you soon, and continue enjoying, learning, and challenging us, and building this future we all desire.
Fantastic. Thank you very much indeed, everybody.
Bye-bye. Have a nice evening.
Yeah. Ciao, ciao. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.